Yeah, so the Ethiopian Securities Exchange is set to open for business in the year 2024, raising competition among three other bourses in the region, namely Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. Last year, the biggest exchange in the region, based in Nairobi, was down 27.7% on the back of a cocktail of headwinds. Bringing us to speed now on that region's market is Ali Satchu, a market professional and the CEO at Reach Management. Great getting together with you again, Ali, in the new year. Great to have you, my friend.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I'm sure you're still holidaying out there in London, Europe. But I'm sure you keep one eye on the market. Give me just a brief back story to the Nairobi's poor performance last year.
So, as you said, it was an annus horribilis for the Nairobi Securities Exchange. We can break it down. The largest capitalization stock, Safaricom, retreated considerably throughout the year. Safaricom has a lot of foreign investors on the shareholder register, and we saw divestment from foreign investors in Safaricom. I think there was some company-specific story, and there was a big macro story. The company-specific story was the investment in Ethiopia, the sense that they would not be paying such handsome dividends as they continue to shovel cash into the Ethiopian operation. And then, of course, there was the issue with the Kenya shilling, which fell quite sharply through the year, and investors therefore were looking to divest Kenya risk. Beyond that, the rest of the market underperformed. The banks came under significant pressure. The biggest bank by balance sheet, KCB, retreated. So it was pressure all round on the stock exchange. Local investors could not hold it up under this kind of foreigner selling pressure. And obviously also the bond market proved very attractive for investors because of the high interest rates that were being paid, and people flocked there and avoided the stock exchange for the most part.
Well, so in the middle of this rout last year on the NSE was a company, a few stocks like Umeme, making a very big gain in 2023. What drove those gains? This was a company that made about 145% when the main market index itself, the broader market, was in the red.
So this is a real stock pickers market. As you said, 145% when everything else is down is no mean return. And Umeme's story was really undervalued stock, people seeing value in it, cheap on a price earnings ratio, and a solid earnings record. So I think that's what attracted people into it. We also saw outperformance amongst agricultural counters, who, particularly the tea sellers, these folks earn their income in hard currency, and the translation of that hard currency earnings was obviously very flattering when you looked at it in Kenya shillings, and they were paying good dividends as well. So there were small corners of the market where you saw significant performance. Ume made the standout. Kapchorua tea doubled in price. Williamson tea up about 60%. But really the rest of the market relatively friendless.
Yeah, I'm sure you got those Kenyan tea out there in London, because again, it's all FX story for most of last year for Kenya, by the way. But again, here is this iconic company, Kenyan Airways shares still being suspended. I was shocked a few days ago that Kenyan Airways was remain suspended for the entire 2024. What's going on there, by the way, Ali, Kenyan Airways?
I think it's been suspended now for about 4 years, and it's a very poor situation because you've got a lot of trapped investors. I think the NSE would be wiser to allow the trading of the shares and allow price discovery. The story at Kenya Airways is really of a balance sheet which continues to need repair. Kenya Airways has borrowed very, very heavily from the government. It's made a string of losses practically since 2015, and the government has had to bail it out nearly every single year. And the cumulative total of that bailout now is what's is what is the problem, because it needs to be converted into equity or something needs to be done about it. And so far, we haven't reached that solution. And what it means is shareholders remain unable to trade the share. Kenya Airways, of course, is the iconic flag carrier here in Kenya. And really, airlines, interestingly, have been doing very, very well in the last 12 months. Anyone who's flown can see the prices we are paying are very high. There seems to be strong demand, but yet the airline has yet to thread the needle and deliver a half year or even a full year of profits. It's difficult to see the wood for the trees in Kenya Airways' case. They remain under significant pressure on a business perspective. And I think until people see daylight, the NSE won't really be encouraging the share to come back and trade at the NSE.
Yes, Ali, I'm sure you've got the entire East Africa under your boot, but I'm sure in your backyard is the Ethiopians are coming with a new securities exchange. They've been on the road with this. They got the CMA on ground. They got a trading floor ready. So this competition is coming from Addis Ababa. What will it bring to the securities regional market, where you've got the big boys, Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya already making the field of play?
So it's a very interesting development. It shows you that, notwithstanding the issues in Ethiopia, the civil war, of course, with Tigray province, which now seems largely behind us, the Ethiopians continue to make reforms. I think this is an important step. Ethiopia is, going to join the BRICS. It's a 110 million population. There's a lot of potential there. And as long as the Ethiopian government understand what it takes to nurture a stock market and don't overregulate it and bring interesting companies to market, I think, they're going to give some serious competition in the medium term. It would be interesting, for example, if they force the likes of Safaricom, who are operating in Ethiopia, to list shares in their Ethiopian operation in the Ethiopian Stock Exchange. So it's all to play for. And I think we should keep a close eye on developments as they unfold in Ethiopia.
Yes, I'm sure one of the events things are unfolding is this, the initial face-off with Egypt hasn't really been resolved in the manner of speaking. You got this fresh row with Somalia over Somaliland, deal with the access to the sea, 20 kilometers or so. Do you think Ethiopia is making more enemies than friends in the region? And tie that to your outlook for me, your playbook for the year.
Very, very interesting. So, I mean, Ethiopia, of course, the other story was skipping the coupon payment, which meant they defaulted on their $1 billion Eurobond.
Yes, the $33 million.
Which I frankly thought was a poor decision. I think they should have paid that coupon because the amount was not significant, $33 million, but they didn't. The issue with Somaliland, I think it's interesting. Abiy has been saying for a while he needs a route to the sea. It will disappoint the likes of Lapset in Kenya, which was seen as Ethiopia's route to the sea. It seems he's now, and also, of course, Djibouti, where he's currently using that route. But it seems this is a big bet on Somaliland. Of course, it's put Somalia's nose out of joint, but it seems to me a fait accompli. And it seems to me, that Abiy is a little bit of an insurgent when it comes to regional geopolitics. But I don't see how he's going to be stopped. I think there'll be a lot of huffing and puffing, but there's nothing anyone can really do about it as far as I can see. What was interesting, of course, was the idea of swapping or selling a stake in Fly Ethiopian to Somaliland as a quid pro quo for this concession. I thought that was interesting in the context of Kenya Airways, where no one probably would buy a stake in it, that Ethiopian has been so successful that it's an attractive enticement to Somaliland.
Interesting. I'm going to allow you to touch down back in Nairobi, where the field of play really is, Ali, in the next couple of days. And then we'll touch base again to see how the market is starting off fully in the new year. Thank you so much for raising the curtain, your first word in 2024. Thank you, Alekan Satchu, trading professional and CEO at Rich Frontiers in Nairobi, covering the East Coast for us here on Arise Exchange.